Upon the gale.
Whee! Oh. Ah! Look at that butt. That's a good butt. Oh. What the fuck?
Polonia. Search keyword world formula and bring me all relevant books.
Holy shit, we get to be Polonia. Yo. The footsteps are like perfectly coordinated with the music. I see. Wait! Carter, show me. Not to secrets. This is Carter. We were assigned to the same lab. I was nervous at first, since everyone said that he was a child prodigy. Since the disaster, such people are more precious than ever. I had thought that an institute star recommended by higher-ups might be more full of himself. But he's much better than I expected. He's just not the most sociable sort. No obvious symptoms. I have read at least part of this before. Because this is in the ruins. I made a huge mistake and knocked over an ancient geometry machine that took a lot of effort to bring back from the desert ruins. The machine came to life and made a huge mess of things. Though he's a lot younger than me, he's really smart. I can't believe that's how he managed to tame the machine. Maybe taming isn't the right word? Maybe the other engineers will look down on me for using it. But it really did feel like taming. I know modern clockwork machines well enough, so I can see the huge technological gulf between the two. Even disregarding construction, we will make little meaningful progress if we do not resolve the power issue. But I still have to be careful. I've never seen Alain angry, and I don't want to find out what he looks like when he gets angry. A few minor symptoms. Took the day off. I can hardly believe it. Alain came to visit me, and even brought his sister. She's a lovely little lady, and unafraid of strangers. A fine day indeed. We discussed the idea of a thinking machine based on gems and tape circuits. I used the word discussed, but actually, I just said things like, oh, or that's really amazing, or how will you do that, whenever he paused, and didn't make any real contributions. He was really into it though, and he behaved very differently than he usually does in the lab. His little sister is probably way smarter than I, a research assistant. It seems there are interesting upsides to having my disease flare up, but I'd prefer to return to the Institute and help as soon as I can. The additional machines got here. The previous ones are no longer usable since they were completely dismantled, but it did clear up a lot of things, at least according to him. Something about it being driven by the elements and the ley lines, an interaction we cannot recreate with our current level of industrial precision and material science. I helped to compile the report, but there's so much I couldn't understand. Apparently, lots of people are secretly unhappy that Alain is getting more research resources than they are. But if you ask me, everyone's smarter than me, and they should all get along. We'll make the world a better place that way. His sister said that some of their friends will be joining the Institute. I am looking forward to meeting them. No obvious symptoms. Joined the lab as new partners. But now their conversations are doubly confusing. Oh, I understand every word on its own just fine, but once they string them all together, I can't make heads or tails of it. Jacob is really the only one even close to being on the same level as me. I feel ashamed just writing that. An adult looking for reinsurance from a child as young as he is? I feel like I've lost all the self-respect a grown-up should have. Based on their research on prime energy machinery, seems like they decided to adopt this name, Alain and Renee are thinking about trying to use the characteristics of Usia and Numa to construct a new kinetic core. A few minor symptoms. I may have contributed. Well, maybe? I went on a picnic with Alain, his sister, Renee, and Jacob. It was technically supposed to be field research, but the idea came from Alain's sister and me. We thought they lived all too little outside of their research, so we asked the Institute's director to arrange something. Petrichor's not exactly the most exciting place, but the scenery's quite lovely, since you can see the Great Waterfall. I brought a camera from the Institute to take photos for them. I do hope we'll have more outings like this one. especially since that means more opportunities to take photos of his sister. This must be where the photo's from. The photo of them all. After all, Alain is always working. Given how he will not be with his sister as she grows up, these photos will come in handy later when he begins to regret not spending more time with her. Then he'll be able to see how she was at different times, and it won't sting quite so much. If only my family had enough money for a camera. And if only things hadn't gone so wrong. I'm sure my mum would have taken lots of photos of me. Renee and Jacob like Alain's sister a lot too. When the four of them hang out, she sometimes acts like an older sister to them, despite being the youngest. A fascinating dynamic. Seem to be interested in the ruins and the stone statues here. Renee also mentioned something about a troop and seals. Even though we went out there to have a bit of fun for once, they were still thinking about research. No obvious symptoms. Took the day off. Alain's sister came to see me along with Jacob. Alain and Renee couldn't make it because their experiment is at a critical stage. They didn't have to tell me any of that, of course. That I was able to help at all, despite my limited abilities, is already fulfilling. I heard that Alain and the Institute's director came to see me, separately, while I was unconscious. I feel bad that they came all this way for nothing. I wasn't even awake. Still taking time off, but I hope to go back and help them again soon. I found out that they were graduates from the Narcisse Institute, and that made me really happy. They talked about the director and the vice director, as well as their adventures, and it made me feel like a kid again. The only detail that didn't make sense was the cake the vice director made, because it felt like punishment when we had it. After the disaster, I lost contact with pretty much all my friends. I'm so happy they were able to find each other again. I wonder how my friends are doing. They're probably trying to rebuild the Narcisse Institute. I've got to go check it out next time. Talked about the thinking machine again. I had an idea about making a thinking camera, so that it would take photos of those pressures to him while he's busy. He thought it was kind of pointless, but that it had security and surveillance applications. So like a video camera? They did it! The light bulb came on! I was lucky to have recovered in time to witness this historical moment. It's quite a pity, but I hope Renee and Jacob will make the breakthroughs of their own in their own research topics. I also hope they get better assistance than me. No obvious symptoms. Took the day off. There were several visits while I was unconscious. It's a shame. All I could do is read the letters they left behind. Jacob left me a note, inviting me to his and Renee's lab. There's something they want to talk to me about. I hope I can get out of bed soon. Anne brought flowers for me, but they had already wilted by the time I woke up. I was able to get out of bed today. This is where I first met Alain. For a time afterwards, I documented the experimental procedures and phenomena based on his oral descriptions while standing here for the first time. He was trying to start up the machinery below in an ill-fitting lab coat. Renee and Jacob later entered through that door, and Alain would temporarily forget to act the young genius, rushing towards them like an energetic kid. Here I bore witness to the first successful controlled annihilation reaction. The brilliant light cast a deep, dark shadow, and I believe history was made in that moment. Will someone like me, so excited I knocked over the ink bottle, play a role in an event that will go down in history? Behind the locked door on the other side is Renee and Jacob's lab. It seems access was limited due to the dangerous nature of their research. They're destined to become towering figures in the history. I guess Alain moved to another lab. Based on his plan, once the energy problem was solved, he would study kinematics. I'll go greet him later. I wonder how Anne is doing now. What manner of beauty will she grow up to be? I'll stop writing here. I don't have much time left. I hope everything goes well. Keyword not located. Automkey sermon dictation concerning the apocalypse. In light of the formal and rigorous proof outlined above, I believe that the correct term for this situation is fortuna. It is an ancient Remurian technology, a wisdom unparalleled. I never imagined that Remurian ideas would be so similar to the computation graph that I have named the world formula. This is strong evidence. I think this is Renee. Human civilization is bound to lose its potential amid ongoing exploration and evolution. Humanity's decline is, in truth, unfolding at this very moment. To put it bluntly, ladies and gentlemen, the apocalypse draws near. This is not the hallucinatory babbling of some wandering monk from Sumeru. Rather, it is a logical deduction grounded in reason and natural philosophy. Please, take a look at this diagram. Beneath the most hidden of all hidden, the number of cycles, that is, the number of higher particles, can now only be 4. No new world cycle can be generated through reconciliation. In other words, the end of this current samsara is the end of infinite light. The sparks of civilization are all but extinguished, unless we begin to consider introducing variables beyond the existing system. After all, the world is itself the external manifestation of a dream, and therefore... Keyword world formula located. Ancient notes. Though it's a shame, we'll have to miss it. I was looking forward to Coppelius's new work. Ever since he was a child, he's always been incredibly talented. Out of consideration for everyone's safety, it has been decided that the Institute shall close. Driven by the energy and vigour of youth, the young ones are clamouring to go out and do battle. I hope someday they will understand the importance of prioritising post-disaster reconstruction over marching off to die. I fear that it shan't be long before we must depart. We've chosen a good piece of land in the Fountain of Lucine as the post-relocation site. They even say they want to use the land to build an opera house. They'd sooner set faces aflame with shame and laughter. To think that anyone could be so comical. We're going to pay our respects at Basil's grave. I hope it all turns out like Emmanuel said. However, it's the Institute's responsibility to support gifted and talented youths. Met with the newly appointed Eudex. He has a peculiar temperament. Seems much more reliable than Leon and those other clowns. If all goes well, it has the potential to completely revolutionize our understanding of Clockwork Mecha. The proposed methodology and plan are reliable. Worth paying more attention. The results of early phases have been satisfactory. We will increase our investment. Carter's leave requests have been increasing in frequency. Better have someone keep an eye on him. He may be having financial difficulties. Not like it's possible for it to be a family matter. After some consideration, I've decided to enroll them and temporarily assign them to the same lab. However, I'm concerned about the impact of their joining after a lang on the mental state of others. Must keep careful watch. Still unconscious during the visit, so couldn't speak. Decided to take a blood sample and see if there's a cure, or a way to mitigate it. Although the proposed research plan is expected to face challenges in obtaining recognition, I believe it holds significant practical value, so it justifies approval. Toxins remain in the soil and water and have not yet been fully neutralized. The water is producing deformed oceanids. In a way, this could be a reflection of previous events. I only just learned that these are Karl's adopted children. It's a shame the Narcissenkreuz Institute no longer exists. Wait, who is this writing? This could be the biggest breakthrough in a century. It will change all of society. The report mentioned abnormal movements. I'll have to find a chance to talk to Emmanuel about it. Keyword not located. My assigned assistant doesn't seem very reliable. Unlikely that the power sources of those war machines can be used at the moment. Cause far too dangerous. I'll get them to seek out other such mysterious machines. No progress worth reporting today. Went out with Anne under my adoptive father's watchful eye to seek inspiration at sites where battles took place. Ran into Renee and Jacob. The assistant doesn't seem reliable. Caused some accidents. Just another obstacle to overcome. This kind of machine seems to take arbitrary external forms. Quite interesting. Research will focus on power source. This feels like it's so crack. It's probably not happening. But I've been wondering whether Bina went back in time to the Narcissenkreuz and influenced that too, because Alain was destined to create Sandrone. This kind of machine seems to take arbitrary external forms. Quite interesting. Research will focus on power source. Researched prime energy machines. Assistant took the day off. Asked Anne for help. Recommended Renee and Jacob to the director of the institute. Research prime energy machines. Assistant took the day off. Asked Anne for help. Suggested she join the institute, but she wasn't interested. Research prime energy machines. My assistant still isn't back. I'll go to pay a visit. Found Renee and Jacob's adoptive father with my own adoptive father's help. The supplementary prime energy machines have arrived. Should be able to make progress now. Assistant seems to be in good spirits. Probably just a minor illness. Research prime energy machines. Renee and Jacob joined the institute. They've been assigned to my project. Field research today. Interesting machine statue. Research prime energy machines. I'm also wondering if the person writing that other piece where I was like, who was writing this? It was Dottore. Research prime energy machines. My adoptive father visited, but I was too busy to host him. Anne scolded me. I'll remember to apologise next time I see him. Research prime energy machines, assistant took the day off. On the threshold of a major breakthrough. Assistant took the day off. Too busy to visit. And scolded me. I'll go tomorrow. On the threshold of a major breakthrough. Forgot about the visit. I'm sorry. We'll invite everyone to go with me. Took the day off. Assistant took the day off. Went to visit. An idea. A virtual neural network based on a vast quantity of thinking units instead of logic trees. Cameras? Research prime energy machines. Assistant took the day off. Research prime energy machines. Assistant took the day off. Research prime energy machines. Renee and Jacob went to begin conducting their own research today. Assistant took the day off. A breakthrough. Patent application process is too annoying. Forget it. Assistant's condition seems alright. Still a little worried. Considering the gap in medical technology, advised assistant to go to Sumeru. Took the day off. Researching machine kinematics next. Must make a materials list. Visit. 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 They said a bigger lab has been prepared for the kinematics experiments, but I've decided not to move for now. Visit. 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 Been urged to move the lab several times, but if the lab is moved, my assistant might not be able to find it. A pain. Visit. 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 Moved my lab. And something about the way this is written makes me think of Dottore. Page out of his secret diary, so true.
Let's see. This one is on Tonki's sermon dictation concerning the apocalypse. I believe that the correct term for this is Fortuna. This was an ancient Romorian technology, a wisdom unparalleled. I never imagined that Romorian ideas would be so similar to the diagram I have named, the world formula. This is strong evidence that human civilization should gradually shed possibilities as it continues to explore and evolve. The end of humankind may well be upon us right now. The sparks of civilization shall run out, unless we consider introducing variables from outside the system. Variables. Surely that can only mean one thing. Descenders? Dottore likely captured the traveler because of her descender status. But the Three Moons' authority comes from the world itself. Why would Dottore need anything beyond that? Where does this variable factor in? The world formula calculates the fate of an entire world. Introducing a variable would therefore give us... Polonia, search keyword pathway and bring me all relevant books.
Oh, there's more. Following Guillotin's instructions, the research went well. We've created a clockwork mecha that can release energy. To be honest, we no longer need to call it a clockwork machine, as it doesn't rely on elastic potential. It'll be compelling to see what results he achieves next in kinematics. There's no way old-fashioned clockwork mecha can withstand such power output. Even young geniuses must stumble now and then. The thought of using this sort of unstable energy source is impressive. Though we have long observed these unique energies in Fontaine's atmosphere, water, and organisms, it has always been regarded as a latent threat, rather than a potential resource. Aren't there a few young geniuses too many nowadays? The director is pleased, sure, but won't someone spare a thought for us ordinary people? I mean, not all of us are as simple-minded as Sherbius. It received a very high rating. If the patent were to be granted, the potential financial gain would be considerable. However, I decided to decline the opportunity, because the machine was practically all Guillotin's work, and I can take no credit there. My family was quite angry about it, but as an engineer, one must have at least a little dignity and self-awareness. Still making improvements, and output efficiency has increased. Seems to have been specially recruited. That's good. Had he continued that line of research, who knows what horrors he might have unleashed. I think that would be about Renee. At this stage, we have to pull out. The director says everyone will be given a position and research resources after reconstruction. But I'm afraid if it were me, I would use this as an excuse for a major shake-up. People like me won't get recalled anyway. Never mind. I've been pretty happy these past few days. I guess I'll consider it my retirement. I'll go to the city and open a small workshop, repairing watches for folks, cameras too. Right, I'll see if I can make a waterproof clock. With the way things are going, I might make a killing in the future. Who the fuck wrote this? Keyword not located. Ancient log Jacob Ingold. Anyway, when it comes down to it, our research directions are different, so I applied for a new research lab with the director. But there's nothing for it anyway. Alain is incredibly intelligent, but he only trusts himself, and doesn't trust our observations or accomplishments unless he reaches the same conclusions through his own calculations. Director of the Institute? Well, it's okay, since Alain is making the world a better place in his own way. I trust him because this is the world that Anne lives in. Even though the Institute is full of people, I don't have many friends besides Carter. It feels like everyone kind of dislikes us. Renee managed to acquire something powerful to research. Apparently these appeared after the disaster, and are very dangerous for most people. But I feel okay. Maybe my constitution really has gotten a lot better. I helped Renee out. When I visited him, I found out that he also attended Nod-Krai Institute. We didn't tell him about the vice director abandoning us, or it would have made him sad. If only we could have helped him just like I was helped. After discussing it with Renee, he finally agreed to give it a try. He said since it's dangerous, everything needs to be made clear to Carter, and he must make the judgment himself as it concerns his own life. But if he's successful, then he'll survive, just like I did. I wasn't successful. Keyword not located. Ancient log. It seems the ordinary diary machines can no longer satisfy him. As a result, the director used national resources to obtain something truly horrifying. Rumor has it, someone was nearly killed. I hope this will help him achieve his research objectives. They even got him some rare diary mechanical parts being studied by Sumeru researchers as part of the package. Things went out of control for a third time. Wait, hold on. Was it Alain who suggested that Carter went to Sumeru for, like, medical treatment? The doctor? Things went out of control for a third time. Kiyotan may be willing to risk his own life, but that doesn't mean the rest of us feel the same. He came up with an emergency damage control strategy, and I hope we won't need to use it before he finishes his kinematics research. However, given his personality, it seems unlikely that he'll ever truly complete that research. It seems that his experiments into machines were intended to create a mechanical dog as proof of his accomplishments in kinematics and material science. It's actually a good idea and could be showcased in the city, and the creature is much more personable and likable compared to the automated turret next door. At least he lived long enough to be poached by the Marechaussee hunters. I was going to say Marechaussee Phantom. It wasn't easy for us to survive this long either. But what will we do with this blasted crazy killing machine that can repair itself? Whatever. That's a problem for future generations. Keyword not located. I have a feeling it's going to be this. The research notes of Master Ruggiero about the Golden Troop. Comparative studies have been conducted on the surviving ruins of ancient orders from across the land. While they all had different names, the scripts and images left behind support the conclusion that they share the same origin. Ancient scholars believed that all arcane arts originated from a pre-Romurian civilization, a belief that now seems to be much more than mere speculation. Oh, so Hyperborea. Or, like, the United Civ. Fortuna seems to be the name of a symphony. Romurian musicians called it the Musica Mundana, or the Music of Origin. In their eyes, the rise and fall of civilizations, as well as the fates of mortals, are all orchestrated by the movements of a symphony. And when a civilization perishes, a new one is always born in its wake. Their philosophical system is complex and enigmatic, bearing almost no relation to modern Fontaine's natural philosophy. However, this is hardly surprising. According to historical records, after Remuria was brought to ruins, the refugees fell under the Loch Knight Irenaeus' sway. They willingly forsook their ancient faiths, tongues, and writings, embracing a life of devotion to the gods as our forebears once had. I hinted at the matter to the Golden Hunter in an oblique way, since the Marechaussee hunters who first pledged themselves to his cause were all descendants of the Loch Knights. Praising the benevolence of Irenaeus seemed like the safest approach, and inquired about his knowledge of natural philosophy from that era. He was silent for about half a minute, then told me not to probe too deeply into those ancient philosophies, saying there was a reason they had been forgotten. Still, as a gesture of gratitude, the Golden Hunter was willing to tell me the names of these patterns. Ah yes, Kabbalah. The seal of chemical marriage. According to him, this symbol is even older than the Remurian civilization itself, and was one of the gifts bestowed upon King Remus by the Golden Bee. What exactly those were remains unclear. The rise and fall of empires and civilizations, the ascension of mortals, and the emanation of light. What is this? Even dreams of surpassing the gods. What is this? All of these can be represented by this formula. I cannot understand it at all. He declined to elaborate, and so I can only record these matters here, as they were told to me, in the hope that those who come after might one day decipher their meaning. Keyword not located. Yeah, okay, I was right, it was this one. Otonki Sermon Dictation. Explications on the chemical marriage. Fundamentally, what the ancient orders designated as marriage was, in essence, an interpenetration of ontologically distinct orphants. As you can see, it is a magic set in motion by the 3 particles above the kingdom. 3 particles being the moons, yet its metaphysical origin lies in the emanations of the 4 particles beneath the firmament. So that would be the shades? The alchemists of Khaenri'ah are prone to disregard metaphysical sentiment and effect, pursuing instead the gold of the ignorant within the material world. It is for this reason that their crude inquiry cannot be compared to the great undertaking we are to achieve today, one that is founded upon ancient Remurian-style theory. 3 pertains to appearance, while 4 pertains to the intrinsic. 7, obtained through their overlap, constitute the number of paths for vertical transcendence. Yeah, so like all of the dragon thrones, like the elemental thrones. We designate this process of overlap as marriage, for the union of the 2 through a mediating medium is akin to the matrimonial covenant of those bound in mutual love. Observe and compute the pathway displayed in the guidance diagram. Deconstructing and reversing its effects could generate potential ideas. Nevertheless, there is one thing everyone must keep in mind. Solve the first half of the equation, leave the second unattacked. But you have all in the clear light, and some, though not all, in the dark. This is not because they possess any sanctity that renders them untouchable, but because they offer no benefit whatsoever to the world formula. Only mediocre minds, foolish beyond a certain measure, would actively seek to trespass upon such prohibitions, because in the eyes of the ignorant, taboo and precious are semantically identical. They fail to recognize that, in most cases, taboo, like convention, lacks merit for deeper inquiry. Take heed. What we speak of is the act of overlaying your dream upon the dream of gods, of overlaying your law, your will, and the starry sky, upon ineffable sacrifices and despair. We do not speak of following emanations to achieve ascension to the ranks of gods. This is a base dream, doomed to perish within an eggshell. What I aim to teach you all is the principle of transcendence, the infinite expanse, and the innumerable stars within it. You too must act in this matter, unbound by any constraint. To choose division for the sake of convergence is the necessary path of marriage. At its core, magic is the science and art of effecting change according to the consciousness. Marriage is the instrument through which the art is realized. It is neither the subject that creates art, nor the object that art is created upon. The subject is always, and can only ever be, consciousness itself. One who is free from the weakness of consciousness bows neither to the gods nor death. Keyword passage located. I think that last one was new.
Otonki Sermon Dictation. Explications on the chemical marriage. These titles are pretty esoteric.
She's not wrong.
Observe and compute the pathway displayed in the guidance diagram. Deconstructing and reversing its effects could generate potential ideas. So, it's one of Renee's draft lectures. Deconstructing the pathway. I suppose that could lead to a breakthrough. This is so long. This guide guy sure loves showing off his knowledge.
There's more, isn't there?
Colonia.
Yep.
Search keyword tree model and bring me all relevant books.
Yeah, I don't know why I expected anything else. Okay. Okay! Yep. The History of the Decline and Fall of Remuria, Collected Edition. The ocean gave birth to all, yet also devoured everything. Legend has it that in the First Era, the earliest peoples were self-supporting in their virtue, needing no laws or authorities. The envoys of the heavenly city walked the earth, and with their guidance, the people enjoyed enduring peace, prosperity, and abundance from the ancient days. This heaven-blessed reign lasted countless generations, until people grew tired of their inscrutable eternity. Their offspring ceased to listen to the oracles. Instead, they desired things never promised to them by the divine, trying to break free from their fate. Enraged by their behavior, heaven sent gigantic waves to smash the settlers' cities. 100 days of rain came afterward, and the roaring tides drowned all sin and arrogation, and thus were the early peoples brought to an end. When the tide receded and the earth was revealed again, no cities nor civilizations now stood above the high waters. Survivors and the newborn alike lived amidst the forests and rivers, shorn of all knowledge and wisdom. Human lives were no different from those of wild animals, on the earth or in the sea, driven on by the laws of nature, muddling through time with neither beginning nor end. Untold years passed. The throne of Gurabad was established and overturned in the far south, and the noble kindred of the east once reached the rim of the high waters, all while our ancestors remained bound by ignorance and superstition. Civilization and order were finally restored to the land named Fontaine, the day the great King Remus descended upon Merope? I can't remember. In his golden fortuna. He taught people how to farm and raise crops in the land, and built temples and cities with giant rocks to house the people. Most importantly, it was he who spread the beauty of music and art, which differentiated humans from other living things, causing them to see themselves as master of all things. With his immortal fleet, Remus conquered all the islands on the high waters. Even the great dragon beneath the abyssal depths submitted to his power. Scylla, right? Scylla? Those were the best days since the end of earliest peoples, and eternal prosperity seemed so near at hand. The God King and his people indulged in the sweet dreams of carefree lives and fantasies of never-ending progress. However, the seers prophesied discord. The greatest empire will face the most utter destruction, and this is Fortuna. Thus did the God King derive the primordial plan from the 7-day rotation and the flowing winds of sea and land, and composed a harmonious symphony of prosperity. He believed that so long as all the cities echoed with this greatest of songs, they would escape the judgment of fate and at last reach the land of eternal bliss. But thusly do the ancient writers concur. Oceans will rise, empires will fall, and the only constant is change. Greatness and glory unto Remuria, and its immortal ruler Remus, king of all under heaven and universal Harmost. Today, the glamour and luxury of the bygone eternal city is beyond the imagination of even the most knowledgeable scholars. As you sailed past the ocean pillars along the royal fairway to the giant port playing host to Fortuna, the imperial ship, you would have first seen a lofty tower. The Tower of Remuria was not built to receive heavenly oracles, but to guide ships travelling between islands in the high waters. It is said that the tower stood at the border of reality and dreams. Paniconi. I know I've read this before, but Paniconi. Even if sailors were to be lured into slumber by sirens, they could follow the sound of the bell to break through the mist and find their way to Remuria. Continuing along the royal fairway leading to the Makimos, where the brave Remurian warriors lived. The grand temples and arenas were built with giant carved rocks to commemorate the city's glory and victory. The solid and towering walls are decorated with glaze and gold. Bronze and marble statues arrayed the land, and gold, spices, and specialties from the world over piled up in the markets. Travelling through Makimos, you would arrive at Capitolium, the centre of Remuria, overflowing with delightful aromas and beautiful melodies. It was a paradise for artists, where only the most outstanding intellectuals and musicians were allowed. Even among them, however, only a small fraction enjoyed the privilege of serving the God King. Here, all the theatres and palaces were established in shapes most harmonious, their beams and domes adorned with the most sumptuous and intricate carvings, and centred on a golden palace of towering copper pillars. The king, resting peacefully at the heart of the palace, listened closely to every melody and every note coming from every corner of the empire. Upon hearing any discord, the God King would correct it immediately with a pluck of his strings, bringing perfection to the symphony of his empire. To keep all the people upon the high water from destroying the symphony of universal harmony, King Remus promoted 4 humans of great capability to high post. He shared his power and authority with them, making them his partners in governance, and the harmosts for all cities, to eliminate all discordant sounds. This also reminds me of the Heavenly Principles and the Shades, actually. To spread the harmonious symphony throughout the world, he built far-reaching fairways, which conveyed the melodies as never-ending ripples from Capitolium to every corner that sat above the high waters. Yet fate's decree was not for even such as gods to defy, and to even attempt to escape destined judgment was a mortal sin. Amongst the Godkin's sins, the most terrible was the attempt to pass power that should have been reserved for the godly domain to humans. Thus, this power and status led to corruption and decadence, leading to violence and revolts. Such is fate's cunning that it uses the very powers that rebel against it to its own ends. When the day of destiny arrived, Remuria, the grand immortal city, faced an inevitable end. Today, the God King's melody is played only in Capitolium, and his mighty reign has ended. Thusly do the ancient writers concur. Oceans will rise, empires will fall, and the only constant is change. Humans, in their naivete, once believed that the reign of the King Remus and his eternal city would surpass time and fate to last thousands of years, just like the giant rocks comprising the ringed ritual sites. Until that day, when the earth collapsed all at once, the tall tower was uprooted and drowned in the titanic waves alongside the great hall of pillars. Until that day, when the royal fairways and temples were reduced to ruins, and the city, along with its residents, warriors, intellectuals, nobles, and even the Golden Palace, as glamorous as the shining sun, fell into a chasm of eternal darkness. That was the moment when the absurdity of their eternity finally dawned on them. Glory to our noble navigator, the ruler of rivers and seas, and the queen of all waters. May she defend the law, and may her reign be long. Peace be upon all the realms of Fontaine, and all the people under the heavens. When the royal city collapsed, the great power shattered, and the people above the high water were perched on the precipice of barbarism and annihilation. It was our noble queen who settled the conflicts between the tribes. Around the flowing springs we established cities new, and started a world guided by laws that has endured to this day. The tragedy of Remuria occurred merely a century ago, but its history has already become concealed in legends and superstitions. This does partly come down to the fatal catastrophe that destroyed it. So ruthless and swift was the disaster that all the researchers and literature capable of passing down said knowledge now sleep beneath the waters with the Eternal City. Another key reason is the purposeful distortions created by the mysterious researchers who claim to be descendants of Remuria. It's giving the mythos, the enigmata. My job is to extract and reproduce the true essential shape of this magnificent ancient civilization with the universal rationality of history. In certain folklore that exists today, even the greatest of ancient scholars have been painted as soul-stealing magisters who entrapped mortal spirits within specially made magical golems, binding them into service. To be sure, the Remurians did make such terrifying golems, which to this day may be found, ruined, out in the wild, but this may only be blamed upon the moral degeneration that came upon them in Remuria's latter days. Its people had forsaken their noble duties and embraced hedonism and debauchery, accepting the violence they inflicted on others, and thus were they also violently destroyed. Just as the ancient writers concur, oceans will rise, empires will fall, and the only constant is change. Keyword not located. Biography of Guillotin, Deluxe Edition. Chapter 7, Guillotin in his later years. No one can know the root cause of every incident in the world. Humans are neither wise enough to predict the future, nor able to stop unfortunate accidents from occurring. It's a shame. There's nothing more to say. Alain Guillotin, in response to a question about his early years from Nellie Cochrane, chief editor of the Steambird. After retiring from the Fontaine Research Institute, Guillotin declined all invitations from the Palais Mammonia and civic organisations from the court of Fontaine. Instead, he withdrew to the Beryl region countryside, living in near total isolation from society. Notwithstanding, even prior to this, the reclusive old man had never formed any deep connections with others. If we were to take Madame Nellie Cochrane at her word, then Alain Guillotin was, at heart, a lonely shut-in, always burdened by a profound sense of insecurity. It was for this reason that he maintained a detached attitude towards others, as if by pretending to be unperceptive, he could hide the keen sensitivity of his spirit. He could not ease his own pain, nor share it with anyone. All he could do was enclose it like a pearl within the shell of his heart, shaping and polishing it with his very flesh and blood. Of course, Guillotin's students would not accept such claims, dismissing them as attention-seeking nonsense, and nothing more than a smear on their master's reputation. This was the main reason why Rogier Coates, the third director of the Fontaine Research Institute, filed a lawsuit against the Steambird. He never employed any servants to tend to his daily needs. There were rumours that, in his youth, he had created a mechanical device capable of independent thought, and had used it to assist him in his work with Marianne Guillotin at the Maréchaussée Phantom. As a result, he had no need for servants. He only needed to create more of the same device. However, such claims were clearly at odds with the facts. The personal effects that Guillotin left behind after his death include nothing of this nature, and so-called mechanical devices capable of independent thought are entirely inconsistent with the ideas he expressed in his manuscripts. As he wrote in Hierarchical Calculating Machines and Intelligence, the real question isn't whether machines can think, but whether humans can. Fontaine Natural Philosophy and Engineering Science Press, 3rd edition, section 13, page 5. We have every reason to believe that whatever contraptions Guillotin crafted in his workshop in his later years were deliberately destroyed long ago, or they got up and left by themselves. After all, it's hardly uncommon for an engineer to discard their designs. Popular fiction has offered many flights of fancy about these contraptions, yet all such tales contradict the surviving evidence. Nevertheless, we must recognise that, as a cultural symbol, Alain Guillotin's posthumous work has been instrumental in stirring the imaginations of the young. Keyword not located. Irrelevant mechanical blueprint. Keyword not located. Time Tracker Collected Edition. I think this is new. This is a story from many years ago. After the evening banquet, Miss Aviva, who would later be Lady Nenanen. What kind of a name is that? Nenanen? Nenanen? Was, as always, theatrically grousing to us about the all-too-swift march of science, though her grasp on engineering is even less firm than her knowledge of Watatsumi Island's soil quality, and of course she knows nothing about the latter either, but self-proclaimed interest in engineering was in vogue amongst some ladies and gentlemen at the time. Our ancestors had already conquered this land thousands of years ago, she said, as she cleared her throat, twirling her jade-plumed and blue-gem-encrusted folding fan while endeavouring in vain to wear a visage of despondency. And a few hundred years ago, they conquered the oceans with ease using new diving equipment. Today, some noble young folk have suddenly got it in their heads to use a so-termed gravimeter to break free from the Earth's shackles and conquer the skies. And surely, I fear, their dream may yet become reality in the near future. Indeed, it is just as you say. Humans. What a mighty and energetic species, with such great wisdom. No matter the circumstances, humans ever seek to change their living conditions with unimaginable passion, the Steambird editor immediately opined. In truth, when it comes to mechanical engineering and theory, humanity is already on par with the Creator. They have conquered most of the natural world, and by their will, they can shape this world anew. That's not what I meant to say, Ms. Aviva said with an affected sigh. Those distant and dark unknown continents, those ruins hidden deep beneath the seas, All that romantic exploration and trailblazing. Such great achievements. That which has put the glorious achievements of our sciences and reasoning on full display have all but become lost to our civilization. Our forebears reached too high and achieved too much, leaving too little for us to explore or conquer. Could there be a sadder fate to befall those ladies and gentlemen amongst us who were born to crave the exploration of the unknown? Here, her pretentious invocation of the legendary king Agiadai's words, I don't know if I pronounced that right, seemed an attempt to prove how truly this state of affairs hurt her. However, everyone simply sat around lazily, at most giving polite nods. Lady L lightly yawned. Seeing how no one answered, Ms. Aviva's enthusiasm faded, and she proceeded to switch the topic to next week's ball. This was evidently a more popular topic, and the stiff atmosphere once again grew lively. Monsieur Attar was just about to regale us with a tale he had heard in Sumeru regarding a tower, a mage, and a glass ball, but before he could begin, Mr. Styric, who had remained silent till now, interrupted. Good, Miss Aviva. The things you said certainly left an impression on me. He lit a cigarette. However, you need not worry. There is still one space that has yet to be subdued by humanity. Indeed, if the required techniques do not emerge, I fear it will never be. Where's that? Ratar asked, a sullen look on his face. He had been so very confident about his monkey story after all. Time. The room fell silent momentarily before all present broke out into laughter. What preposterous talk, Dr. Renier declared, trying not to laugh. Firstly, how can time be considered a part of space? Can you separate yourself from time and exist independently in space alone? What do you mean? I mean to, at this moment, still be speaking to me and in the next disappear without a trace. Is this possible? He waited for a moment, as if waiting for the others to think. Obviously, anyone with the capacity for rigorous thought would know for certain that much like length, width, and height, time is also a dimension of space. As such, it is a part of nature, and can thus be conquered. Utterly preposterous, the doctor muttered, but did not refute the statement. I have been involved in research of this sort for some time, he continued, and I have come up with a machine that can allow people to travel through time as they please. This machine will be ready in 2 months. At that time, Miss Aviva, I invite you and all the ladies and gentlemen present here to my workshop to bear witness to humanity's next great achievement, the conquest of time. Miss Aviva did not speak. In fact, from her expression, our noble friend did not understand Mr. Syric's words at all. Wonder if that Mr. Cyric is the Tory. 2 months later, we, the Steambird editor, the doctor, Mr. Revilo Oliver, and others who had attended that evening banquet, came to Cyric's workshop as agreed. Miss Aviva was not there, for she never had much interest in such things, but instead found more meaning in attending a social ball at Salon Caritas. Surprisingly, Cyric had grown older and more frail in just 2 months. In the dim light of the lamp, his once enthusiastic, arrogant expression had hardened into something indifferent and solemn, almost like the emaciated aesthetics of Sumeru. He welcomed us to take our seats, speaking in a calm tone. Well then, how is your plan to conquer time progressing? The Steambird editor asked directly. Where is the time machine you spoke of? Cyric did not reply. Instead, he pointed to the desk next to him. Our gazes followed, and in the middle of that table was a gold-plated, whale-shaped model airship about the size of a small clock. Even a non-professional eye could readily discern that the model was of exquisite craftsmanship. Beneath its clear crystal shell, an indistinguishable and formless colour flowed ever so slowly, glowing faintly in the lampshade's shadow. So, the doctor said, it took you 2 months to make this little toy that would amaze even Laporte's artisans? It certainly looks like nothing special, Cyric said, an inscrutable emotion shining in his eyes that could almost be called pity. But this is simply a projection the object has left in this moment, just as one can only see a thin line when viewing paper from the side. Blithering nonsense. For some reason, Cyric did not refute that statement, merely asking us in a calm tone to hear him out concerning his time travel experiences. We agreed, and so he began to tell the story I shall now relate below, without interruption from beginning to end. For all of you, it was 2 months ago when I first told you of the idea of a time machine. Similarly, it must have been a week ago when I finished constructing said device and stepped into it, initiating the very first instance of time travel in human history. The strange sensations that came over me as I travelled through time are beyond words, just as there are no words with which one can impress the star's brightness upon a blind person. About 20 minutes after this, though describing time travel by using subjective time is quite meaningless, the machine ceased operation. I looked about me then, and realised that I was in a Remurian imperial settlement. The grand temples and arenas carved of titanic stone would make the opera Epiclese hang its head in shame, while the creations of Elan Guillotin would be little more than a child's wind-up toy before the towering Remurian golems. Just as I was beside myself in awe, a few patrolling troops discovered me. Seeing my strange style of dress, they took me to be a spy for the barbarian tribes. They seized me, naming me a lowly slave, a degenerate believer in a false god, and threatened to throw me into a deep cistern to feed the vipers. Fortunately, the local aedile, I later found out that her name was Idea Anavana, realised that my identity was anything but ordinary, and had me sent before her. She endured my calamitous grammar and catastrophic accent. At that time, I could not even pronounce Remuria, with it coming out something more akin to Emuria, while asking me many questions, which I answered truthfully. Quickly, she accepted the fact that I was from the future, and showed me a stone slate that the slaves had recently dug up. The slate was a perfect square, each line and column engraved with 7 symmetrical sequences of symbols. These were not in Remurian script, but rather the characters we use today. Regardless of the manner in which the text was read, or the order, or direction, the information within the text did not change. It was an elaborate riddle involving dogs, pastures, cyan finches, the summer rains, the song of the roses, a Rishbalan tiger's stripes, and the ordered patterns of rocks. Despite my long-time love of wordplay games, this endless cycle of riddles made me terribly dizzy. For some reason, I knew that I must solve it, no matter the price. I spent half a year doing so alongside Idea, and as it turned out, the key to deciphering it lay with the name of a slave now 30 years dead, while the answer was a date, set several hundred years after the Empire's fall. I bade Idea farewell, and stepped back upon the time machine, forwarding myself to that date in hopes of finding the secret behind that stone slate. There I met several Marechaussee hunters, and they showed me another stone slate, which again had 49 mirrored characters on it that formed another riddle. Again the answer was a date, one set in a future still farther off. Following these stone slates' directions, I crisscrossed the fabric of past and future, shuttling back and forth 13 times. Each stone slate's riddle was trickier than the last. One of them could only be cracked using a bad romance novel that would only be published 300 years hence. My bad romance. The 5th word of the 37th page of that book would form a conjugate with the full name of the 375th Maison Gardiennage officer from 375 years ago. Girl, what? Another riddle cipher was based on a white flower that would only bloom several millennia in the future. I know not its name, and its pistil structure is very strange indeed. It might be a mallow of some sort, but I cannot be sure. That flower is nourished by skylark calls, and so one of the clues to its cipher was the number of ribs on a skylark during Remurian times. I suppose that is, generally speaking, just how the riddles worked. The final stone slate came from the underground storeroom of the Basil Elton Memorial Museum, and had naught but one number on it, 0. I do not know what I was thinking at the moment. After all, setting my destination to 0 is an action utterly devoid of meaning. But I punched the number into my machine all the same, and pulled the control lever. After who knows how long, the machine stopped. I sensed that I was floating atop a sea with no waves or tides, for even the wind did not exist at that moment. The sky that loomed overhead was not blue, but a dark red adorned with countless stars, pale and distant, like salt frost lining the shore. I stared at this very first of oceans, transfixed, and several minutes passed before I realised that there was something shadowy hidden beneath the placid surface. It was the Palais Mammonia, which should not be there. At that moment I could hear someone call me by my name. Nevin Cyric, the voice called. I turned, and it was like looking into a mirror. A man identical to myself, looking me dead in the eye, just as I did to him. Nevin Cyric, he continued. You wish to conquer time. No one can do that. It was you who left those riddles behind? It was you who left those riddles behind. He repeated my question as if it was an answer. Those riddles are part of time, and every matching symbol is time itself. So the final answer to the riddle of time is 0. 0 is not an answer. Instead, it is another mystery, for the answer cannot be found in the riddle, he said. The answer to time's riddle is a mirror. Or perhaps I should say that this is the answer that is simplest to comprehend. When two mirrors face each other, time is the infinite reflection of light therein. Countless diverging, converging, and parallel lights form the illusion we call time. There is no past or future, for the past is the future. As you stand here at moment 0 and look forward along the gap between the two mirrors, all beams of light fall along the same plane, and not one may escape. The Palais Marmonia had already sunk long before it was ever built, and the sunken palais will be raised anew. Joy, sorrow, tears, and death must infinitely recur, for this is the nature of a mirror. Similarly, you can never conquer time, just as you can never grasp your shadow in your hand. Perhaps it was horror or momentary frenzy, but when he finished, I whipped out the firearm I kept for self-defense, leveled it at his head, and pulled the trigger. The room was silent. I do not expect you to believe me, Cyric said as he stood up, his eyes sweeping the room. Just take it as a bunch of bunk that I made up to cover up for my inability to make a time machine. Make of it some lame tale, a dream born purely of delusion. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, I shall take my leave of you. My future self awaits a riddle that I must set him. I never saw Cyric Nevin again. What the fuck? Keyword not located. Yeah, but psychic damage definitely located. Great Detective Herlock, the Alchemist and the Clockwork Saint. My food is cold. Chapter 6. So the story ends like this. Herlock sat down and lit his pipe. This is Sherlock. But the rest of us, whether it was Agent Gina, Miss Jacoba, or the Commissioner, Miss H.E., looked at one another in confusion. You must still remember that the locations of the 4 previous cases were equidistant. There was a symmetrical pattern between the time, space, and even the first letters of the 4 victims' names, Herlock said. This is also why Gina's deduction was completely off the mark. The murderer knew that she, possessing basic knowledge of the mystic arts, would assume that the followers of the Lilia Crucis Ordo would treat the patient as a necessary ritual sacrifice. So the culprit let her believe that her assumption was entirely correct. But when Duke Saint-Germanus departed, he clearly said that everything was beyond redemption, and the next case would also, Agent Gina protested, somewhat reluctantly. He's only a genius when it comes to mechanics. In everything else, he's just an ordinary person. Herlock paused, then continued. He's always been the type to like things he can fully understand. Just like you, Gina. What the fuck? I get it, Miss Jacoba shouted suddenly. My dear Herlock, now everything's crystal clear. The 4th victim's death wasn't a carefully planned murder. It was pure coincidence. He only wanted to kill those 3 unfortunate gentlemen to avenge his comrades from the Lilia Crucis Ordo. But the traps he set weren't limited to just those 3 locations. He was worried that the plan might fail, since the 3 victims were all well-protected figures, after all. So he added a few extra traps. Yet he never expected that, with Gina's interference, the plan would go far more smoothly than intended. Miss Jacoba, please don't speak as if I were the accomplice. Agent Gina's face turned as red as a sunsetia as she protested indignantly. How adorable. Indeed, Herlock said calmly. It was unclear whether he meant that Miss Jacoba's deductions were correct, or that Agent Gina was indeed an accomplice. Most of the experimental devices proposed by the Lilia Crucis Ordo are built based on simple, basic tree model logical structures. They do not recognize their own masters, following only the commands they were initially given, so they end up killing said masters. This is why I keep saying, don't put too much trust in Clockwork Mecha. Unlike humans, machines have no heart. I remained silent as usual, but Miss Jacoba glanced at me with what seemed like a hint of puzzlement. What's wrong? Why are you standing there in silence? Is there something on your mind? No, I just didn't expect the truth to be so simple. Of course, my understanding of Clockwork Mecha... They misspelled Mecha there. Like, for the way they spell it in-game. Cannot compare to that of the Duke Saint-Germanus, but I've done a bit of research. To suggest that those mechanisms were merely activated by Mr. Marcello's mishandling seemed a bit too contrived. but to imply that there was another mastermind behind it all felt like stretching into the territory of conspiracy theories. After all, no one besides us could have pulled off the operation I envisioned. So I decided to abandon further speculation, choosing instead to enjoy the reactions of the adorable Agent Gina. This is why you don't understand deduction. Agent Gina seemed to have regained her confidence, not to mention her mild sense of superiority over me. Excitedly, she raised a finger. Isn't there a saying that goes something like, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however... Stop right there. That's Phantos something mess Rob something story. We don't have the publishing rights from their publisher. Herlock took another drag of his pipe. He seemed to be lost in thought once more. Regardless, this case came to an abrupt close. A person who did not manage to witness the end. A person who did not manage to achieve his ideals. A person who indulged in fairy tales, who dreamt of following the hero he admired, yet never saw his dream fulfilled. Someone who had everything. Someone who lost everything. Someone who woke up. Someone who would never wake again. Unstinting in sacrifice, unflinching in farewell, undaunted by pain. Yet in the end, the sacrifices remained only sacrifices, the partings remained only partings. Clocks tick through tranquil years, fish swim in crystalline springs. No matter how grand a dream is, it will fade away like this, forlorn, wordless, silent. And after that... Keyword tree model located. Jesus Christ. I swear to God if there's more.
Most of the experimental devices proposed by the Lilia Crucis Ordo are built based on the simple and basic logical structure of a tree model. Lilia Crucis. Guess they were trying to cover up the name of the Narcissism Ordo? When Duke St. Germanus departed, he said, "It seems that there's no going back." Alas, he is only a genius when it comes to machines. In all other things, he is but ordinary. Excuse me? I'm sorry. That's just ridiculous. What kind of book is this? Great Detective Herlock, the Alchemist and the Clockwork Saint? Isn't this a novel? Come on. Still, the author swears that they knew Renee well. Whatever. I guess it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Renee would say nonsense like that on occasion. Memory, wishes, souls, and persona. Frankly, this sounds more like occultism, but if Albedo vouches for it, I suppose there must be some alchemical basis to these techniques. The way Alain Guillotin saw it, the world was comprised of machines. The universe needed machines, and thus his technologies were created. That's why I was born. Renee, his full name was Renee de Petrichor, if I recall correctly. Sounds like he and the town must be intricately connected. That place was also the source of most of our information regarding Remurian civilization. Seems like some of his projects were based on their technology. The cutting of souls and storing them in vessels. These seemingly unrelated techniques underpinned Renee's research. Assuming that the 4 orthants correspond to alchemical categories. The chemical marriage model? Alain would have scoffed at that. He never would have let those theories or parameters anywhere near his mathematical formulas. What was Alain's view on Renee? I know he mentioned the name, albeit very rarely. Oh, now I remember. Alain's old notes are here too. They mentioned Renee once. Renee seemed most out of sorts when he spoke to me. A lack of sweet foods has dulled his mind, I should think. Either way, his words are not to be believed. Yep, that sounds like Alain. My subordinates actually did a half-decent job digging out all these materials. Makes a change. Good for them. Some of Alain's old files are completely consistent with these records. He must have gotten them from the Tower of Gestalt. I never knew he got his hands on Renee's records that early. Heh. He may have kept them, but he never even attempted to use them. Didn't believe a word they said. Come to think of it, Renee's world formula was filled with calculations of constants. That shows he believed that the fate of the world to be predetermined. As for Elan... it's been too long. I forget what he said. What would he have said? A guy like him, fervent believer in machines, but not headstrong enough. The world can be changed. It is worth persevering. Yes, that's how he used to think at least. He created that procedure to save this world. Yet the scale of the world's fate proved too enormous. The result was beyond his ability to calculate. He died having never seen the outcome. And there I was, left behind in the ashes of his dreams. Did you really never take a close look at Renee's research? Or did you read it but deem his philosophy incompatible with your model? The very thought of trying to incorporate his ideas probably made you feel sick to the stomach. Well, don't worry, because there's a whole new category of lunatic in town. Next to Dottore, every other madman looks sane. You once asked me what I wished for. Should have asked him instead. He's the one pining for things you'd sooner die than witness. Even the tiniest variable can make big waves in the present. Now then, allow me to put these incompatible fragments together in your stead. First, establish and verify the existence of the Great Circle. Absolute nihil on one end, absolute reality on the other. Now, search between these two extremes. Then, the construction criteria. Variables. The sparks of civilization shall run out unless we consider introducing variables from outside the system. Input variables. Traverse the world, space-time, and civilization. Then extract the essential nodes from the records to determine which variables they point to. The primordial power that differentiated itself from the void. The power of light. Yes, light. Records. Hyperborea.
She's just saying words at this point.
This is horrendously complicated.
Yeah.
After all that, I'm still missing a few variables. I need to think this through again. How do you think it looks, Polonia? Like the frenzied scrawlings of a madwoman?
Mayhaps.
Fine, keep it to yourself. It's not like you can talk anyway. I'll assume you gave it a passing grade. I jest. But true madness does often start with trying to save the world. What would Arlecchino and Columbina think if they saw this incomprehensible hen scratch? They'd probably have me institutionalized. So would Rosaline. She's been dead for a while now.
What the fuck?
When I close my eyes and think back, I can still see her face. And that enormous dress she used to wear. Such a bizarre choice. What possessed her?
Senora.
Oh, and the clack-clack of those heels used to drive me insane.
Senora
No
remains in
one's
shambles.
asking me, obviously, but I hope you all know that I never wanted to save the world. I'm not crazy. I don't have delusional ambitions, and that's a clinical fact.
Why did that feel like she was breaking the fourth wall for a second? She was like looking straight at the camera.
The world needs a solution, but I don't need the world's validation. It's the world begging me for answers, not the other way around.
Tea time? Fortune cookies. What? Oh. was gonna say, what now?
Oh, cookies to go with the tea. Let's see. They must be from that person who brought those documents. I see they're from Hotel de Boer. Something's written on the box. We are proud to present this homage to the Fortress of Meropede's fun-filled meal collection system. Fortune cookies. Have a lucky start to your day. Sounds like a dumb gimmick to me. Be early to bed and early to rise. Get plenty of sun and drink plenty of water. Then things will surely go well for you. What? Are you kidding me? Somehow I doubt that an early night and a glass of water is magically gonna save a world on the brink of existential peril.
Why did that have the exact vibes of someone quote tweeting on Twitter?
Lady Arlecchino, word has reached us that Lady Marionette's troops are all in position. They are ready to act as soon as the order is given.
Excellent.
The only thing is, they are fewer in number than we expected. It looks like many of them must have lost their lives at the hand of the monsters released by the Doctor.
Can't be helped. Allow them to join our ranks and keep in contact.
As you wish.
I get to be daddy. I mean father. I mean...
It's been a while, Arlecchino. You look well.
Hi, child. Mr. Worldwide.
Did Dottore really have to build his lab right on the sole path between Snezhnaya and Nod-krai? Had to go on a huge detour to stay out of its line of sight.
Sounds like an arduous journey. I assume you've brought word
Sorry, I
from
don't
Her
give a shit.
Majesty?
Of course, all part of the job. Firstly, the Tsaritsa has authorized Fatui Internal Affairs to review Dottore's case. They will reach a formal verdict on whether he has turned traitor and whether he poses a threat to Snezhnaya. While they're working on that, I've been ordered to come and receive the refugees from nod-krai.
They are nearby. My team will escort you to them shortly.
Great. Aside from that, Her Majesty has a message for you and Sandrone personally. Huh? Where is Sandrone?
She stayed behind to work since I was making the trip anyway. It seemed sensible to have one person on standby at base while the other came out to meet you.
All right, guess that's just how she rolls. In that case, tell her that the Tsaritsa's decree this time is pretty awesome sounding. I think she'll like this one. Still, I wonder what... Wait, what's that? Did one of our troops turn into a monster?
Take him out.
Am I about to be... Oh no, I was gonna say... Oh my god. In the year of our Lord, 2026. Okay.
You've gotten stronger, Arlecchino. Nice.
Stop that right now. I appreciate the praise, but I am not fighting you today.
I knew it.
One brain cell, bro.
This is where you fight.
I am doing good. I too exist.
Brace yourself. This is gonna hurt.
At you, I think, child.
I can't believe it. He was a living, breathing human one moment, and the next...
Another fine piece of work by our dear colleague, I'm afraid.
What in the world has been going on in nod-krai?
A lot. But long story short, Dottore stole 2 moon marrows that should have belonged to Columbina, then built a 3rd moon marrow of his own to concentrate the Trilunar Authority in his hands.
What? What do you mean he built a moon marrow? People build roads and houses, not moon marrows. What's his next DIY project? He's gonna build a god?
You could stand to be less surprised.
He
We
really
are
tried that, bestie.
harbingers. The work we are engaged in makes the creation of gods seem mundane by comparison.
Child always seems like someone who's accidentally wandered into the wrong building and is just pretending to know what's going on.
I tell everyone who asks that you once crossed swords with Rex Lapis while serving as a key supporter for Rosaline's plan. But right now, you're acting like a common adventurer.
Fucking drag him.
Thanks for speaking up for me. Those two really took me for a ride back then. Then again, surely no common adventurer would manage to get tangled up with them the way I did.
He's desperately
That's
trying
gotta
to
count in my
defend
favor,
himself.
right?
It almost sounds like you wish to repeat the experience. I might have to lower my opinion of you.
No. I'll stop talking. Please, go on.
Dottore is currently still experimenting with his newfound power in ways that continue to corrode the outside world. As for the human mutation, I believe this is simply a consequence of his experiments, and not a strategic move. That radiant beast was once a subordinate of Sandrone's. I suspect he was only allowed to live so that he could become an experimental subject. Also, those of us who fought Dottore have been afflicted with a curse. As such, I cannot leave
I think that might have been a
nod-krai.
bluff.
This is so much worse than I thought. No wonder Her Majesty's decree is so extreme. While these exceptional circumstances persist, the Harbingers are hereby authorized to use unilateral executive powers. Should
There
Dottore
we
pose
go.
a threat, Arlecchino and Sandrone are permitted to eliminate him.
My thanks to Her Majesty. I will pass these good tidings on to Sandrone.
Her
Kill him.
Majesty has also declared that she will refrain from launching an attack on the now evacuated nod-krai due to the presence of unretrieved research material.
A wise decision.
By the way, how's my old partner doing? I'm assuming they're with you?
Partner? You mean the Traveler? I'm afraid I have bad news. She was captured after our failed assault on Dottore's lab. Her whereabouts are currently unknown.
What? Why? Since when does Dottore have a bone to pick with her?
That is indeed the question.
Child
I'm
is
not sure
so
he
dumb,
does.
bro.
He must have some other goal in mind.
Child is so stupid. Why is he a harbinger? What is he doing here? He has like 2 brain cells and one of them is on holiday. Like,
This won't do. I have to rescue her.
You can't. We have no idea where the Traveler is.
What am I supposed to do then? Stand here twiddling my thumbs?
yeah.
Sandrone is working on it. The best thing you can do right now is complete your mission.
It is like having a toddler on the harbingers.
Fine. I guess I'll leave this to you then.
One last thing. Tell the rooster to get the message out to the gods and citizens of every nation in Tevat. Beware. An uncontrollable pollution is spreading forth from nod-krai. The source of that pollution is a madman drunk on the success of his experiments. The Fatui and our allies will endeavor to contain the threat. However, if nod-krai falls, things are likely to escalate. Considering Dottore is one of our own, all Fatui stationed in nod-krai consider it our duty to stay and fight him to the bitter end. Whatever the cost.
Hey, don't be too pessimistic. If it comes to it, I'm sure Her Majesty won't stand by
How
and
much
do
power
nothing.
does she have against Dottore, though?
I hope you're right.
Like, she's just an Archon like anyone else.
You're right on time.
Thanks. Hey, do you think I'll get that gliding exam exemption?
So
I made sure I
serious.
was on my best behavior in Mondstadt. I landed well outside the city and walked in through the gates.
I'll help you apply, don't worry. For now, let's see what we have here.
What are the doctor's energy fields even made from? The usual attract and repel principles that govern Kuvaki don't seem to apply to them.
They are very mysterious, but ultimately, they appear to be comprised of energies from the 3 realms. Thanks to research by Master and the Hexen Circle, we know that Tevat's 7 elements are derived from the more primordial power of the Light Realm, which is antagonistic with the power of the Void Realm. Since you have the power of the dragon Durin within you, I'm sure you can already tell that this energy field contains no abyssal energy.
That's true. It's not abyssal energy. It's something pure, wild, and untamed.
I've been thinking about something. Do you still remember the device that Dory supplied from the academia when you and Miss Columbina fought Raria? That was one of the most marvelous feats of ingenuity I've ever seen.
Hell
The
yeah,
design,
Kobe.
the craftsmanship, the material selection. I couldn't fault any of it. Not to mention the operating principles. Surely the most ingenious feature of all. Dory didn't go into detail on how it functions, but I have a working theory. The clue was that Miss Columbina was somehow able to use the pyro energy that you provided, despite the fact that,
It's like a
as a
converter.
moon goddess, she should only be able to use light realm energy in principle. Now, all elemental energy is, of course, derived from light realm energy to begin with. Hence,
Yeah,
I
converter.
suspect that the device works by restoring elemental energy to its original state.
How the fuck did Kabe
This
make
presumes a theoretical model of the seven elements akin to that of light refracted through a prism. Perhaps it is no mere analogy. Maybe there is indeed a prism in this model. I almost wonder if the idea for the device was conceived based on direct observations of said prism. It would explain how such an ironclad design concept was achieved. It is at once a masterwork of engineering and
Oh,
a groundbreaking
wonder.
application of the Academia's latest elemental theories. I suspect only Lesser Lord Kusanali herself could have devised such an ambitious technology. But back to the energy field before us. If this is pure light realm energy, its relation to elemental energy is one of integration versus division. Or you could say that the former contains the latter. Could this mean that elemental energy can dilute the power of the light realm?
Should we give it a try?
We should.
Ha! It works!
Does it?
Clear signs of disruption were detected
Oh, I
at the
see.
periphery of the energy field. This indicates that elemental energy can disturb or even negate the field. Now you try.
All right, here goes. Ah, ah, it's working!
Switch to abyssal energy and attack again.
Ah!
No surprises there. Abyssal power drains the energy field to a significantly greater extent. I now feel confident in asserting that the energy field is indeed pure light realm energy, and that elemental energy can dilute it.
But the energy field is huge. How much elemental energy will it take to neutralize it?
We don't have to neutralize it completely. We can try other approaches. That's all for theory. Would you like to continue watching?
So you knew I was here.
Can't see
Huh?
this.
When did you get here?
A while ago. But Albedo sounded like he was working on his thesis defense back there. Back in Sumeru. You can end a person's whole career by interrupting them mid-speech.
Very thoughtful of you. I'm truly touched. Could I ask you to lend me a hand?
With what?
A little test. Try using Animo to unleash a concentrated assault with circular blades, with the goal of breaking through at a singular point.
Focus it on one bit.
Nice! This time it tore through the field.
Tremendous. This is a major breakthrough.
Should we go through?
We probably shouldn't risk having mutually antagonistic energies in such close proximity. Durin, you stay here and watch the entrance. Hat Guy and I will go in to investigate.
Sounds sensible to me. Keep your eyes peeled, Durin.
Don't worry, I got this. You two be careful in there. Just give me the signal if you need help, and I'll dive right in.
What do you mean? Signal.
It's based on a new alchemical concoction I developed last month. When 2 bottles of it are smashed on the ground together, they emit a blinding burst of light. If it comes to that, remember to shield your eyes with your hat.
Glad I asked. Thanks for the heads up.
Albedo time. We really had to play as everyone. It's fun.
Like I thought. Beyond a certain distance, we can't see the opening where we came in. Maybe that's to prevent people from escaping.
Sounds like Dottore style to me. Not much has changed. Things are basically the same here as they were before the energy field appeared.
Bye, I guess.
They have no heartbeats and they're not breathing. We can only assume they're dead. But there are no visible wounds. Also,
Just like sucked the
there's
life
an
from
animal
them.
squatting next to each body.
It's watching us. That's not an animal's gaze.
Interesting.
What are you trying to tell us?
Doesn't seem eager to talk. I guess maybe it's just an animal after all.
Let's keep looking around.
Same situation everywhere. Not a living soul in sight. Just countless bodies with animals standing watch over them.
Well, I think we can safely rule out the possibility that they're all pets.
Is skirting around the topic your way of showing consideration for other people's feelings?
Just being cautious. I don't doubt that you can handle the truth.
Careful.
Whoa. Oh, the music got weird. Oh, that's so good.
Help us. Please.
Over there, I hear a voice.
Please. Help us. Please.
What happened here?
I don't know. Suddenly, everyone collapsed. Then my line of sight got lower. I still have some of my senses left. I gotta get out of here.
Damn.
It looks like there's a huge experiment going on inside this energy field. Maybe each energy field is its own giant experiment. Vile.
He's swapping human minds with those of animals. Even without the other circumstances, this would be an extremely radical experiment. Those people may have lost their sense of selves, but they are not fully animals either. If they were, they would have left. But instead, their instincts are driving them to remain by their dead bodies.
We should go. No sense in sticking around here longer than we need to.
Agreed.
Imagine you could get put into any animal and you end up becoming a fucking snail. I wonder if anything's gonna happen to Albedo and Wanderer from going into the sketchy area.
Ah, you're back! Everything okay?
Well,
We saw some things that take a strong stomach. Otherwise, we're fine.
We should share our findings with the others.
Yes? Who is it?
Miss Nefer, it's me, Albedo. We found a way to break through the energy fields. With enough control, it's possible to tear them open using elemental energy. Also, we managed to take a look inside. Dottore is carrying out his cruel experiments on an immense scale. Any residents who have failed to evacuate in time will likely meet a grisly end.
Sounds like he's living down to our expectations.
Might I ask how things are proceeding on your end?
God damn it.
I'm just about to get started. I'll be in touch once I have a result.
Understood. Stay safe.
I will.
Well, Nefer, I'll link up with you once my tasks are complete.
What makes you think I'd need you to do that?
I'll need it. And considering the way you approach certain matters, I think you'll be better off with me present.
Let's begin. Entering simulation mode. A vast wasteland. Is this the Traveler's inner world? I was expecting something more vibrant, to be honest. Wait, someone's there.
What are you looking at? In that case, I'll look at it with you. I want to know all about everything you've seen and experienced. Is there somewhere I should return to? Or should I stay here and be the hero everyone says I am? I don't dislike my current life. Roaming the land, fighting battles, accomplishing missions, earning a living, looking after Paimon. It's not so bad. I guess the only thing that's missing is that you're not here with me.
This is the conscious layer, which contains a person's true feelings. It is filled with both longing and kindness.
I suppose anyone who lives long enough ends up wishing for someone who can't be there. Maybe it's the only way we can feel truly alive.
Time to delve a little deeper.
Nasha Town is hardly the optimal choice for a place to live, but it has character and a reasonable population density.
What are you trying to say?
Oh, don't be nervous. I was just thinking where might make a good starting point for your journey. Perhaps I should send you further afield. Conria, perhaps.
Yeah, please send me that. I would like to see it.
Conria ceased to exist long ago.
Once again, you fail to understand the possibilities that the Tri-Lune creates. Anything that has existed in the past, I can now recreate. You simply do not wish to see that happen. That might be because you miss your sibling and fear getting answers that you are not ready to learn. But this is not for me to judge. If we are to collaborate, we need to maintain an amicable relationship. In a moment, you will be able to...
Oh no.
What are you... What are you gonna do?
Don't move.
He detected her.
Something unwanted has crept into... Oh? Gone as quickly as it came.
Did you save me?
If I hadn't cut the connection, Dottore might have caught you from the other side and destroyed you. This was a good idea, but once is plenty. You were exceptionally brave. Excellent work.
Thanks,
yeah,
but
Nicole.
now's not the time for that.
Albedo speaking.
I think I know where she is.
What is this endless darkness? I can't see anything, even though my eyes are wide open. But why? What happened?
Ah, sorry about that. I take it you didn't notice. Just now, a friend of yours took a little peek into your mind.
Could it be Nefer? How did she do it? Did she use something as a medium to connect to me?
Do you think she's aware of your current circumstances?
I think he can read
Oh
my
dear.
thoughts.
Have I stunned you into silence? I only wanted to slow down your time a little so I could stop your intruder in her tracks. It would have been nice to capture the spy. I must say, I'm finding the ability to adjust the flow of time rather intriguing. The moment you closed your eyes, time seemed to grow impossibly viscous, didn't it? A whole month passed before you opened your eyes again, but only for you. No one else was affected.
That's fucking crazy.
I dare say this is something only a god can achieve.
Point taken. You've proven once again that you have god-tier powers.
Oh, you misunderstand. This wasn't about proving a point. I was testing things out. I find I learn best by doing, and I have to admit, time is not the easiest dimension to control. I only wanted to make you sleep for a short while, but it ended up lasting a whole month. Clearly some finesse is required to wield the authority over time as I wish. I hope you're not angry with me. It was only a month's discrepancy, nothing too serious.
That's fucking crazy.
Had I been off by a year, a decade, or even a century, that would have been quite a different story.
You could have frozen me for millions of years. So much for collaboration. You aren't showing much sincerity.
Millions of years? To what end? I wonder if you don't understand humans all that well. They are very pragmatic creatures who understand only that which they can perceive with their senses. If I had you sit here for a week, I imagine people might sympathize. But if I left you here for 100, 1,000, or 10,000 years, the sheer size of that number would cause it to lose all meaning to them. They would not have the capacity to comprehend your suffering, and thus they could not empathize. Unfortunately, while gods do exist in Teyvat, it is ordinary humans that account for most of the population. Their lifespans are so limited, their bodies so fragile. Did you ever really hope that they could begin to understand someone like you? Your long life and unique origins make you fundamentally different from them. How long will it be before they start to treat you like the alien you are? Before you are ostracized, outcast?
Alien.
Even I feel bad for you sometimes. This world has made you into a slave. So many times you have served its will, and not once have the powers that be ever thought to grant you the one simple thing you wish for. You have been treated most unfairly. I can change that. I will grant you special privileges and give you back the status you rightly deserve as a descender.
I've entered the past 3 times at this point, but I still have so many questions. For instance, beyond each point being further back in time than the last, what determines the specific locations at which I can make entry? So far, the common thread linking all 3 scenarios is that the traveler has been present. But it's more than that. I know I sensed something familiar around her. What was it? I'll keep this question in mind as I carry on.
Humans, you never
Yeah, she protects
change. Always
Lucy
trying
Allen.
to use powers you neither comprehend nor control.
This looks like Star Sand Shoal. Was this before Rerir regained his physical form?
You've messed with the cannon again, huh? Sorry, but this round's not gonna go your way.
The cannon. That's right. I was at Silvermoon Hall and I sensed an abnormal Kuvaki fluctuation coming from Nasha Town. And right after that, came an ominous power emanating from Star Sand Shoal.
My body was once torn into countless pieces and hurled into the swirling chaos of time itself. But even so, my life and will were not extinguished.
I wonder if I could try to prevent his resurrection. But how would I do it? What can I do, here and now?
Traveler! Behind you! Look at that light!
No, I won't make it in time. She's using the Kuvaki shield like I taught her. Is she gonna use it to block the cannon's beam? She's strong. I'm sure she can manage. But the force released when the beam impacts the shield might lead to collateral damage. Easy Island. The Frost Moon Scions will be exposed to lethal levels of Kuvaki.
A question, if I may. Kind Miss Columbina. When the cannon's Kuvaki beam was deflected earlier, I saw several bolts of energy streak toward Hisi Island, only to be blocked. Did you also have a hand in that?
Maybe that really was me after all. Well, future me. But I don't know if I have enough power left.
Sigi sato pasa sax, niti ipotuvtos.
There's no time.
Osestikos paratin tiram to risuiku, topia to aithion feraton.
I have to make it. Oh, Frost Moon. Oh, great land. Oh, slumbering moonlight of Nod-krai. If you can hear me, if you can sense my call, then please, heed me once more!
Oh.
Did it work?
It did indeed.
Hey, wake up. Hey, did you hear me? Call him, Bina. I said wake up now.
Oh, good morning, Sandrone.
It's 3 in the afternoon, actually. And could you kindly not use my quarters as your personal nap room next time?
But I feel so safe here. And your coffee, right? It's so bitter, but it smells lovely.
It's like you were raised by wolves in a forest or something. What did you drink growing up? Grass tea?
The Frost Moon Scions certainly led a more frugal existence than the Fatui.
Then I'll bet you've never eaten one of these before.
It smells delicious.
That's because it's a Fontanian recipe. I had a little free time today, so I made a batch. Rosaline will be here shortly, but if you really can't wait, I guess you can go ahead and... Hey, at least let me finish before you start eating. Did the Frost Moon Scions not teach you basic table manners? Or did the rules not apply to you because you're the high and mighty moon goddess?
These are so tasty.
Of course they are. I made them.
I was worried they might contain traces of machine oil.
What?
Such a troll.
You know, there's something I've always wanted to ask you. Why did you leave your old home and join the Fatui? I mean, I'm sure their food was awful. But there's gotta be more to it than that.
Well, life there didn't go quite how I imagined.
What were you expecting? You're a god. Your followers are gonna make some demands of you, right? Surely you can just answer a few prayers here and there in return for the free food and drink. How bad can it be?
Well, Would you help other people just for free food and drink?
Hmm?
The doctor told me that you were created by a great mechanic, Lord something Fisher.
The Lord Artificer. Ugh, some people can't keep their mouths shut.
Oh, Lord Artificer. And didn't he have something to do with the, narcissist?
Narcissenkreuz Ordo.
Yes, that was it. Narcissenkreuz Ordo. So, would you try to fulfill their wishes?
You must be joking. I wouldn't go even if they paid me. I don't even know them.
Exactly. Well, I felt the same way. I did not know the people who made demands of me.
Huh. What do you know? We're on the same page for once.
Okay.
In his later years, Alan did ask me if there was anything I wanted to do. If I had any wishes of my own. Well, I don't. And I'm not in any mood to fulfill someone else's either.
Who's Alain?
He was the... You know what? Never mind. You're not gonna remember. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, neither of us is the self-sacrificing type. Let me ask you this. What sort of place would you like to live in, if you could choose?
A place where people don't ask me for things I cannot give them. Where they don't worship me, or fear me, but just want to chat with me like a normal person. I'd also like the freedom to come and go as I please. And ideally, it would be somewhere with the smell of coffee and snacks.
Not to burst your bubble, but no such place exists in the world. Now, take your snacks and scram.
Yuri. That's a lot of gamer teams.
Pass out? Of course. I'm back here again. I dreamed of events from my past. Sandrone. Traveler. I miss you all so much. Back there. I guess I managed to harness all the Kuvaki energy on Hisi Island. But how did I do it? Time is flowing backwards here, and I can use that familiar power to enter the world of the past. That mystery ally everyone talked about. It was me all along. I can sense that there isn't much more power remaining up ahead. What lies at the end of all of this? Will time keep flowing into the past? And will I ever find my way back? It's getting harder and harder to use my power. I'm no match for the Abyss in this state. I need to avoid the contaminated fragments. Time to go.
Yeah.
I wonder where I'll find myself this time.
The lighthouse. Was it tasty?
The Final Night Cemetery. This is where Flint's is based.
Or not! How are we supposed to read through this many files?
Difficult, yes, but it is also our most efficient option.
Seems like they're searching for information. Oh, I remember. Flint's and Varga talked about some files on the Wild Hunt. Was this my doing too?
To expose the true intentions of this Rarir, we need to dive into Nodkrai's history.
Are my actions changing the past? Or are they simply completing a process?
Yeah.
Is all of this inevitable? Or am I the one making these decisions? If I choose not to help them now, will it change how things turn out?
Hope we don't land on our heads then.
They're my friends. I can't not help them.
Ghost!
How does she know which one?
And the other one was... here.
How does she know?
Hey! Another file's moving!
That should do it.
Soon. Oh.
Luanatar? You can sense my presence? Wait! Luanatar. So she's that familiar presence I've been sensing all along. She's always been by the Traveler's side. That explains why the Traveler has been there each time I've entered the past.
Do not call
But why Luanatar? Is it because she has a connection to me as the Moon Goddess's familiar? If so, why not any other Kuhenki?
Another theory I'm not sure is true, but I'm gonna put it out there anyway. Potentially, like, Luanatar being, like, Columbina, but much further in her future, that she's, like, she's gone so far back into the past that she's then, like, reverted to the form of Luanatar and, like, is then coming forwards in time, but at a much reduced, like, capacity.
That's...
Unified bina, yeah. The same thing that happened to
I
Nahida.
cannot sense any power up ahead.
Oh, Ruka, sorry.
Just a void, stretching out into infinity. This is likely my final chance to enter the past. It's now or never. I have to find a way back.
Is it the moment when Luanatar is born?
Hisi Island? How far back in time is this? Where's Luanatar? I can't sense her presence this time.
Seeing Enefa and Aino reunited like that sure was heartwarming.
Yeah.
Traveler, Paimon. No, stay calm. I don't have much power left to change things. I don't even have that much time left here. Think, Columbina. How do I find a way back? A way back... to where? Do I go back to Moon Prayer Night? Or to the future that followed? And if I return in my current state, what will become of me then? Dotori's actions that day proved that he'd been planning that for a long time. He had already seized the power of 2 moon marrows before capturing me. Even if I managed to get back, how can I fight against him when he wields the Tri-Lune authority? I can't. If I go back like this, I'll be playing right into his hands. I have to find some way of rivaling the power he has usurped. Wait. Time flowing backwards. The Tri-Lune Authority. Does that mean? I think I know what the final destination of this lunar reflection might be.
Yeah.
I know what I must do.
Speaking of homes, we must already be close to where the Frost Moon Scions live. The vibe here feels different, just like the scenery.
But how do I communicate my plan to my friends? Should I write it down here? No. Someone else will see it. I need something with a close connection to me. Something I can use as a medium to tell them what's happened to me in here.
And she creates the one attached.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah. I'm so correct and so smart. Like, it's not really like a reduced form of her, it's something that she creates there and then, but still.
Hey, what was that? I feel like some sort of breeze blew by, and then the petals suddenly turned into... Huh?
It was I who brought Luanatar into being. I gave up a piece of my own soul to create her. That's why I could sense a familiar power from the moment I entered this space. It also explains why she's been present in every past location that I've entered. Because we have a deep connection.
And she's providing like chapter markers.
Hey there! What's your name?
And the reason why there are no more gates to the past after this point is that Luanatar hadn't been born then. No wonder I sensed the trace of a blessing when we first met. But I still didn't recognize the soul hidden within you. Back then, I was just a little lost dove. I had yet to become Columbina Hyposelenia.
Go on now. We've got stuff to do. Best you find someone else to hang out with.
Hey, you scared it off.
I'll be counting on you. Remember to stay by the traveler's side, guide her, and help her in my stead. Oh, and bring her to the garden where the moon prayer blossoms grow. There's a little lost dove there who will need her help. Go on. You too. Go and live your story. As for mine must go in a different direction.